Oh, Adobe Office Hours, right here on Adobe Live. Nick, one of these days I'm going to nail the intro. I do feel like I've been like 0 for 8 now.
Yeah, maybe it's time old Nick tries one.
We'll give one to Nick next time. Hi everyone, welcome. This is Andrew and Nick checking in from the past. We had to pre-record because Nick, where are we right now at this moment?
I believe we are in Austin, Texas at the CropCon. Shout out to our buddy Matt. Yeah, we're gonna have we're probably having an amazing time.
Amazing time. Go follow us on social to get all the behind the scenes at CropCon. Get connected with some other cool creatives like yourself. I think Draplin's going to be there. Kelly Anderson's going to be there. Lots of really cool people. So if you want some hot design tips, follow the hashtag CropCons.
Probably
Crop 2023. I don't know. Follow Nick or I. I am at HOCHDOTCO. Nick, you are
Longo Designs.
So follow us and get the inside scoop on what's happening at CropCon. Nick, there's a lot of people who joined for the first time for the last time last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. For the first time last week. What's this show? What is the vibe? And what are we doing today?
Yeah, welcome back, by the way. You got us at week 2. I love it. So we are Office Hours, and we meet every week here to talk about everything related to creativity. And we sprinkle in a bunch of stuff that Adobe's doing here and there. Anything new, but a great episode today, something different, something we haven't done in a while.
Yes, a little twist. We're going to be talking today about mental health. It is officially Mental Health Awareness Month. April is Mental Health Awareness. So we're like barely squeezing this episode in, but we got it. We got it. In true Office Hours fashion, we're celebrating the monthly theme, the last possible point that we could do it.
I like to think of it as saving the best for last.
It's true. It's true. We're not procrastinating. We're just really building it up. So let's go ahead and hop in and talk about some of the things that we want to discuss today. If you are watching this, there also was some awesome big news that was this last week on Max London. So we're not going to talk about that because I can't talk about it right now. Nick can't talk about it right now because it's technically the past. But by the time you watch this, there'll be a ton of awesome stuff that happened at Max London. So go back and watch those streams. Adobe Live was streaming all day for 11 hours. I was actually at those streams. This is weird having my worlds collide. But the moderator will put in the link in the chat for you to go back and see everything new that happened at Adobe Max London. So Nick, today we're talking about mental health. How is this important? Why is this important? And those of you watching at home, very often we'll have you like follow along and work with us and kind of create things. Today's going to be a little more old school lecture, right, Nick?
Yeah. I think this is a topic to really kind of dive into a little bit more on content and some of the tips and things, because don't you think, I can't think of a career and industry that really gets affected by this more than creative, because I think a lot of it is your work is a stamp, is a reflection of you. And in so many ways, like I think we get it hit harder in a lot of ways. If you're not dealing too well, it can really affect your work, your creativity, and your flow.
Yes, and we don't want that. It's really important to take care of your mental health, to reach out to people, and to make sure that you are in your best place, because then your project will be in their best place. Your clients will get you in your best. And eventually you will burn out. We don't want that. So let's hop in and let's start talking here about mental health. So we have some talking points. We'll be a little bit in Firefly, a little bit in Express today, having some fun. We'll also be an Illustrator to do some nice like Zen artwork. So you're gonna be jumping all over the place with us today here on Office Hours. But let's hop in and start talking about mental health. This is a big thing as we jump in to talk about practicing self-compassion. Nick, what is this about?
Yeah, I think sometimes we do it very often with other people, but we neglect to do it with ourselves sometimes. So recognizing that everyone experiences these things. So be kind to yourself, be real, be kind of understanding that you've seen it in other people. And I know like you're that type person as well, that goes right into, if someone's having an issue, you want to help, right?
Oh, yes. I don't let them not have an issue. If I get any indication that there's anything, I will dig until I find it.
Yeah. And so it's almost like the same idea of we'll run to yourself sometimes too. Help yourself when you're in that situation, and don't, because I think the feelings that creatives might have is they don't want to admit that it's not that bad. It's not like what's maybe somebody else is going through or whatever. So it's kind of that way. Like if you treat yourself with that same kind of kindness and maybe even just care that you would a friend, imagine what you could do for yourself.
Yep, absolutely. And if you need someone to talk to or reach out to or want to hang out with the community, discord.gg/ACC. We hang out in there. We have an awesome community for office hours that hangs out in there, does cool stuff with us. Post in there. Just say hi to everybody. You can get engaged with the new community. And also, if you're looking to practice some self-compassion, this is just off the cuff. One of my favorite songs right now by one of my favorite bands. Sammy Ray and the Friends has a song called Coming Home Song. And it's all about the theme of it is leaving a light on for yourself. That we stay up and we take care of other people. And it's I want to make sure that you come back. And if you have to get up in the middle of the night, there's a light on for you. And it's leave a light on for yourself when you're, kind of in the dark. So go listen to that song. Not right now, because you have another 52 minutes with us.
Yeah, just wait.
But at the end of this episode, Coming Home Song. Yes. Sammy Ray and the Friends. All right. So let's go through this. And I think that some ways to be a little more compassionate to ourselves. We have a really good takeaway right off the bat. The first thing that we can do is set realistic expectations. This is huge for mental health. I am terrible at this. Nick, I have a feeling, I'm just throwing this at you. I have a feeling you're not great at this either. I think that you're a high level dreamer, right?
I think so, but I think that comparing yourself to others in a very unrealistic way is my first trigger. It just is so automatic. I don't even, do you know what I mean? You're talk about going on autopilot in any kind of feelings of this. It happens all the time.
Yes, Chad has seen this happen every time that we do a brand slam, and you're having a full presentation, and I'm I made a letter that you all get to see my mental spiral, because I have the expectations that I'm gonna do what Nick does in the amount of time that we do brand slams, but that's just not my workflow, and that's not how quickly I work. And so I think it's funny because we've done brand slams so many times that I should have by now realized that I need to set some realistic expectations. I cannot do that. I cannot do that because, again, I'm working with someone that I'm I have to do that. And so this is a really, really great example that you all have seen if you've watched Office Hours. And I'm not getting super insecure about it. We're having fun, but it is a good example to see that when you set yourself up, then you let yourself down. I think it is, if you set yourself up too high, you will let yourself down.
I read something the other day that said that frustration you have in that zone is very comfortable and easy for you to be in. So it's so hard to swap that narrative in your mind and say, wait a minute, just look at me and what I'm doing. Is it better than maybe something I did 6 months ago or a year ago? Yep. So if you're comparing yourself to just you and any advantages or kind of betterment you've made, that's a win, right? So, but I totally get it. That frustration zone, it's you want to live there for a while. You're just give me 10 minutes. I want to be angry.
Yes.
Someone's 10 times
better. I need to be disappointed somehow.
Yeah. And I think another tip on that is that all of those defaults are very easy for your mind to get into. It's so much harder to pat yourself on the back or say, hey, that was just a cool little win right there 5 seconds ago. Let me take a second and not award yourself on it, but just go, hey, something great happened. Right?
Yep. And I think that it's interesting that we compare ourselves to each other and how bad that is for mental health, because I have a very signature style. If you guys know my work, it's I do my thing. Nick has a signature style, does his thing. And I love that when we design next to each other, it always turns out that I try to do your thing and then get stuck. That I'm watching you design, I'm oh my gosh, I have to do something like that. And then I get stuck. Yeah. But then I have the times that I'm I don't care what Nick's doing. I've got a great idea. I'm going for it. And then I just get in my groove and we both come out with something really amazing. I think
it's easier for you to try to emulate me, because I don't think what I have is quite a specialty that you have, where you have this uniqueness to be very unique, bold, and risk-taking, and I don't. So I think mine's very easy to emulate, where yours is a lot more I think I would have more imposter syndrome because it wouldn't even come close.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because I get stressed that it's too crazy or too out there, which is the biggest strength that I have in branding and marketing, is that it is out there. It's splash making. The work that I do is very what? And it's funny when I'm put up against something like yours, it's this is the client work, like this is the like over the plate what it should be, then I'm like, oh no, I'm too crazy, I'm too weird, I have to like do something that's less weird and less crazy. And so I love hearing the other sides of that, of like, the people that you think that you're looking at and comparing yourself to are also comparing themselves to you, and then you just spiral into this like everlasting zone.
Ooh, bro, how did we not think of this? But the next brand slam, whatever logo you get, whatever logo I get, I have to make it in the Hawk style, and you have to make it in the logo.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so fun. That would actually, okay, that would make me feel so good.
To the second power.
I like that a lot. Chat, let us know what you think about that idea. I think that would be pretty fun. And I'm calling out to chat because we'll be lingering. We'll both probably be huddled in a corner watching this as some speakers on at the conference. So let us know what you think of that idea. I think that's really fun, and I think that that's actually a really cool idea to get some of your friends and be like, how would you describe my style? Like, what are the strengths that I have? What are the things that make me uniquely me? Because there's a lot of stuff that I do that I feel like, oh, I do that too much, or like that's too weird, or no client's ever gonna want that. And it's the thing that people are like, oh, that's 100% what I think of you. Like when I see that, I think of you, even if someone else did it. And you're like, oh, I should lean more into that and not run away from it.
And you need to hear that.
You do.
I know if you have any young designers around you, or if you are around students or whatever, give them that little heads up that you've got an awesome little style or whatever it might be, because chances are they probably haven't heard it before.
It's true. So speaking of that, which I love, this is an awesome transition. You need to learn to manage perfectionism. Nick, what do we do? What do we do? How? Teach us how. How do we do this?
You're laughing because
Nick, teach me to be perfect.
I think I am so far from this. I have no desire. God, hope no one client is listening to this, but I am all about like efficiency and like get it done in a lot of ways, where perfectionism, unless it's maybe something I'm doing for myself and personally, should be the other way around. But I this isn't a problem of mine. I will be 100% like transparent on that. Yep. And it would cripple me if it was, because I think I could get on this bandwagon very easily.
I think that I actually get stuck in perfectionism about imperfections. I very early realized that like I love the texture. I love things to be weird and wrong and like torn. Like I love all the imperfections as a means for like telling story. Like things that aren't perfect have a story to tell. And I love using that as a means and a vehicle to tell stories for brands or for campaigns for myself. But I'll get stuck in like, oh, I need to change something because it looks too perfect and I need it to feel more authentic. And then I'm stuck for like 10 hours trying to make it look not perfect. And I'm like, I'm having perfectionism over making something not look perfect. Yeah. Like, this is crazy. And so I think it goes on both sides. But I love this idea of kind of letting something be what it is. And also hitting a point where like things are just good enough, right? You hit it and you're like, this is fine. I don't need to spend an extra, like the difference of me stopping now to spending an extra 5 hours on this is not worth the amount of change it's going to take.
I get you. Yeah, I think mine was like I would add to things because I didn't think it was done. It was too simple. And so I would be adding bonus elements to it that were not needed. And then when I realized that was holding me back, and while I was going through so many revisions with clients on, let's say, a particular design, holding back and being a little bit more minimal and more focused truly helped. But the one area there, that last sentence about imperfections and maybe embracing those, that's the one part I think I have the problem with. Like when it comes to either anything that's my own signature, call it handwriting or hand lettering in any project, I might go like, I hate the way I do K's or R's or whatever it might be. And what you don't realize is what you love about other artists who have the great styles is their R or their S or whatever it is, and the way they do it. So the last thing we do is compliment ourselves on that when we should that is our own personal signature.
Yep. It's so funny because I see that, and I'm just thinking about like Nick's style now that you talked about like, what's Nick's style? I see that in you, that like you would not let something be wrong and have personality. Like you'd have to fix it to be right and not be like, oh, it's wrong and that adds to the thing. It's like, no, it has to be right, and that's what adds to the thing.
And now I've stripped it away of all of its originality in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whereas I am like, I want nothing to be right. And then the client is like, what is this? And I'm like, it's all wrong. Don't you love it? Oh gosh. I just went through a project that involved me scanning sandwiches like on a scan. I had sandwiches like flat scanned and I was like working on it and I got into it and I was like, this is just not like this. I love my imperfections, but this is all imperfection, and this is for an actual client. I need to bring it around a little bit here.
I like that. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Okay, so let's talk about boundaries.
Good.
So there are a lot of boundaries that we need to set up, and before we like hop in and talk about the ones, do you have any like overarching boundaries that you try to set up for your mental health when it comes to work and design and creativity?
Yeah, I think I've been very much more open to critique or things to make me better, right? And I think before, many years ago, that would be nothing I would want to invite and would even want to hear. But now I love the idea of it's the same way. If a friend or family member had something happening and it wasn't brought to their attention, I'd usually be the first to do it, right? So why not take it as much as you can give when it comes to that advice of those things. So my boundaries on that have really fallen down. I think that was it. And then I think the only other thing that would probably be like maybe a wall or something was if something went wrong, I would immediately look to the blame outside of me. Now I have shattered that, and I quite the opposite. I will look to me first and say, what did I do wrong?
That's really admirable.
Where was it my fault? Because I guess that's a people pleaser thing too. Is like it's a plus and a minus, right? It's like I've eliminated that boundary, but also it's also because I'm a people pleaser.
Yep.
I think that's, what about you?
I think my biggest boundary that I had to set, I don't work for free. I think that's like my overarching boundary. Even if I'm like doing something, and I have a couple projects right now that I'm doing for like good causes, like I'm doing some pride stuff, and I'm like, whatever you pay me, like just donate it somewhere. Like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take away the value of my work. I think I had a lot of time that I didn't think my work was as valued, and that like I didn't have inherent value in the way that I think or the way I create or like my process or my perspective. And so once I came around to like, oh, that is the value. Like the value is in my perspective, is that I have to remind myself that like, this is the value. And so I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this project. Great. I'll do it for free. I'm like, hey, there's value in the thing you're getting. I don't want the money. I just need to make sure that like the value is seen of the services that I'm providing. So like, let's donate the money somewhere. Let's like sponsor a kid for something. And so there are still times that like, I'm not getting money out of it, but I never work for free. Or I'll have people that I'm like, pay me $1 or like buy me Chipotle or something if I'm doing, something quick for somebody that I want to be a part of. But I needed to remember that like, hey, I can't work for free because there is value, and it's less about the money, but more about just reminding myself, because I didn't think my work had value for so long, being like, hey, your perspective in your work has value and you can't just give it away. That's not how it works. And
so that's the boundary you've kept up to be like, to protect.
Yes. Yep. And actually this is going to be hot exclusive. This is going to be exclusive for you here on Office Hours. So what I was going to do, everybody knows, well, not everybody knows. If you follow along, you've known that I usually do a big project for my birthday every year. And I like gift myself a project and I do this like whole thing. So my project this year actually got tabled because of this boundary. What I was going to do is I was basically going to take everything that I'd created that I have in a Dropbox from like since I graduated school. I have like all this like random stuff and like projects or whatever. I was gonna put everything in a Dropbox and then just give it away. And that was gonna be my birthday project, was like, hey, everything I've made that I'm not using, you can just have. And then a couple friends called me out and they're like, you're way more valuable than that. Please don't do that. And I was like, that's a really good point. And so I literally pulled the project a few days before. So I need to figure out something else to do before the end of the month. But if you're watching and you're like, where's Andrew's birthday project? That's what it was. And I actually pulled it because I realized that it was not a great one. It was a good boundary.
I think that's your ability to want to share and put the work out there. It sounded like in your mind, like a great idea.
I thought it was a great idea.
I'm so happy for the person who told you that, because it's true. It's kind of like, and that's the one thing I was going to add to this whole thing was self-respect. And I think that's you had to hear it from somebody else to know that, whoa, that there is some value to all of that stuff. And I think that's that one area too, that respect wise, it's like the minute anyone goes even close to the line on disrespect, oh, forget about it. The Italian meat comes out and you do not want to be around. So
I want to see Italian Nick.
I got some work to do on that one for sure. But and if it's about a friend or a family member, forget about it. Oh my God. It's like Papa Bear comes out.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
There it is. So yes, chat, if you're watching in the next, what day is it right now? I got like 9 days to figure out what I'm going to do instead. So, you'll see. I may just post about the process of like having a project and having an idea and then not doing it. And maybe that'll be my project this year is I gifted myself my own mental health and healthy boundaries.
Hey.
Right?
Hey.
So let's talk about it. Setting boundaries around work, personal life, and social media use to prevent burnout is always good. And it helps you maintain work-life balance. Learn to say no to commitments that drain your energy or contribute to stress. That last sentence.
God. Oh. Grant me all the wisdom.
Grant us the grace.
I've noticed, I think, in the last 3 years, I have month by month almost kind of lessened the reliance and screen time on a lot of things. And where I still can't maybe get rid of it is what's left on the phone, right? Like on TVs, on screen, I've really found a way. And because I've seen the difference, that less stress because of added stress that media and everything wants to send your way and get you freaking out. The minute COVID happened, I turned it all off. I'm like, nope, sorry. I will worry about my own problems at this point and the people around me and stuff. But I think that's the one thing. It's so hard to give these things up. Social media, I think, is it's that pro and con in everyone's life. We can't live without it. But I don't know if we talked about it. Did you ever hear that they asked people about, can you give it up tomorrow? And they were like, absolutely not. There's no way. And they says, but if everyone else gave it up, would you? And they all went, absolutely.
Yep.
Isn't that the saddest thing you've ever heard when it comes to people we are so attached to on a daily basis?
Yeah. Well, especially when we're live on YouTube right now. Like when it's a part of your job too, it's like, it's a lot to like constantly be putting stuff out there and having to like take stuff, you're constantly taking stuff in, putting stuff out. Like it just is this churn and cycle that can become really exhausting.
Well, you get to choose. And I think that's the beautiful thing about YouTube or wherever the video content is because it's based on your subscription and your algorithm, obviously, too. So I think it's the things that are just seem so fast through the things on your phone that you can. I remember just the last few weeks, we've both been traveling a lot. Everywhere I go, I'm looking at people on their phones. The minute the plane lands, it's like this addiction. And I'm sitting here going like, try to reframe for like 20 minutes. Do not turn it back on, right? It's crazy.
Yep. And I think that I was going to say something and I forgot. On your phones. Oh yes, we usually do this at the beginning of our mental health episodes.
Just a little like rewind.
We usually do this at the beginning of our mental health episodes. If you need a break and you don't need to be looking at a screen, turn off this episode right now. It's on YouTube. You can subscribe YouTube, or you can go to discord.gg/ACC. We'll be in there. Come back and watch it later. It's totally fine. Go for a walk. Spend the next how long do we have? 34 minutes. Spend the next 34 minutes going for a walk, and then come back, and then you can watch the episode. I usually try to open the mental health episodes with that. You don't have to watch this. We love you, but we love having you here.
We know you're here.
We're not even here. But we want this is a very good sanctuary for a lot of people to hang out on office hours. So we try to have every Thursday for you, at least something. Even if we're not here, we have to pre-record something for you because we want you to have this. It's a good little space for a lot of people. So let's talk about this, Nick. Let's recalibrate and let's talk about reframing. I think that reframing is really great for creatives, is to make sure that we are not focused on the negative, right? That we're not focused on like, oh, this project didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or like, oh man, I didn't quite deliver to where I, thought my expertise was going to go. Focus on the strengths, focus on the accomplishments, focus on the good things, and that will help kind of bring everything up a little bit, right?
Isn't that the truth? Like, I think there was the other day I had it was one of those seamless days. Everything was going great, a lot of little wins. And then one little thing came through that was a bit of a headache. And of course, I immediately forgot about all of the good things, right? Just like this says, it was like I was focusing on that tiny little thing that really wasn't that bad. and how fast we can forget all the good stuff, all the positive things that made me go like, hey, I got my stuff together in those things and it worked. And give yourself that little pat on the back. It's worth it. It really is.
And if you are wondering an example of this, I submitted my Southwest project to the ADDIE Awards, which is like the National American Advertising Awards or whatever, for our local chapter. And so I submitted it to, I think, 3 different categories. And I got silver in 2 categories and then didn't place in 1 category. And I was like, this whole project sucked. Like the second they announced it, I was like, well, it's trash. I'm throwing it away. Like, and you guys know, this is something I worked on for like 2 years, was like the highlight of my career. And like, I really wanted to like have the recognition, and then I got silver and I was like, well, it's trash now. And then I didn't place and I was like, everyone hates it. This was a dumb project.
Wow. You forgot all the good things and every little comment that came in through social media and stuff too. It's like, wow, why are we wired that way? It's easiher. It's easier to think the negative than the positive.
And I like specifically avoid design competition stuff like that because of that. I am just like, all this like is just, it's just icing on the cake that I don't need, because I really do work for myself and not necessarily for the client. And so it was one of those things I was like, I submitted a personal project to a competition where other people are going to be judging it based on like client work. And I was like, that's the mistake I made.
I'm setting myself up for failure.
And so it was having those, trying to make some good boundaries for myself. And I didn't. And I'm like, oh, this was something that was for me. I don't know why I submitted this in the first place, other than like, I felt like I needed some approval of someone else. So
think of all the people too that you admire and that you look up to, or other folks. It doesn't even have to be an art field, but it could be everything else, that have never won anything. And how like maybe they're frustrated on the inside, you just don't know. But what you can do is be like, look at that. I'm admiring this person, and there isn't one award behind them or anything else. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's like sometimes I'm like, at 90% of them, and I've entered them. I've been guilty of them too. It's all about fundraising and the money they get, and then because it's pay to play in that world. It really is.
Boy, is it. And thanks so much for sponsoring it. No. So chat, if you have never won a design award, we're giving you the honorary, you're a star here. The office hours. Ooh, what should we call the office hours awards? Have we ever had awards?
Ooh, dude. We're coming up with all these ideas today.
I know. We need to have an award show and give away some prize. Wait, Nick, hold on. Is this what we do? Like, I like that we're recording this and now we're just brainstorming. Is this what we do for like the
true anniversary?
The true anniversary.
Yeah.
Let's do the office hours awards.
Like we gotta, guys, we need something as good as the Dundies. We do.
Chat. Right now, we need you to head over to discord.gg/ACC, and we need you to put in your suggestions for what an office hours award would be. We want you to go put this in the office hours channel.
I got it.
And while Nick, you better write it down. And while we're over here, I do want to show off some work. We did have an activity that we all did together of using structure reference to create some office hours holding screens. And so I love some of these. Someone created some pizzas with pineapple on pizza for office hours. That's great. That's so fun.
Ooh, I'm getting hungry.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, not with pineapple on pizza.
Here we go.
That's great. That's great.
The awards.
Okay, actually, hold on. Chat.
You never capitalize on the OH.
Yes. Awards. Chat. Our first award of the night. That's great. Chat. Please. We're due for a rebrand, Nick. We had a really good rebrand that was the OH exclamation that we did during, I think, a brand slam or something. So at some point, chat, maybe a rebrand will be coming to you for office hours,
or at least the branding for the award show.
That's true. Maybe we just for the award show. Okay. Yeah. Back to self. That was self-care. That was self-care. That was it. And
we were caring for ourselves.
We're caring for ourselves in that moment. That goes great into our next point. Engage in self-care activities. That was one. I think that it's self-care to allow yourself to chase the rabbit trails, right? That there were other things we're supposed to talk about. We're supposed to get into Express. We have all this stuff where we're like, ooh, this is a fun idea. I'm having fun. Like, allow yourself to do things. Allow yourself to have fun. allow yourself to chase rabbit trails.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Why not, right? It always feels good, and then you feel more inspired after you do that.
Yeah, I made this. I'm not a fan of the New Year's resolutions. I think if you have something you want to do, just do it on that day, and don't wait and say I'm gonna do it January 1st. And I did this exact thing November 1st of last year, and I love this. I've made this not only a routine but a priority every day, and it's more mental than physical. It really is. It's the energy, it's the excitement about hitting work when you're all done with that and get it over with, and it's a balance. It really is. I think it's one of the best tips on this entire show.
Yep. 100%. Are you a yoga guy? What do you do? What's your your routine zones?
Oh, it's all cardio and weights, literally, and then a lot of stretching, because I've had so many sports injuries, and coming off of my shoulder injury, I don't ever want to be in that situation again. So it's a lot of preventative. So it's just making sure, and we sit all day or we drive all day, and it's like I'm not standing enough and all those other things. So I'm trying to make sure I'm balancing out all those, because for the year that I couldn't do anything after shoulder surgery, I never felt worse. I was like, my shoulder's feeling better, but everything else is going to crap. So it was like, get focused on that. I think it's going to be the hardest thing for a lot of people. I can see in 2 to 3 in the future, a lot of people are saying this is going to be that thing that we all forget because we're just not going to make the time for it. But find it. It's free. I mean, it really is. It really is. Yeah.
So let's Mike. Sorry, not Mike. Nick, did you just punch your mic?
Probably.
Okay, cool. I just heard so let's talk about artists specifically. This has kind of been good advice for everybody. Let's talk about artists and creatives who are working. What is a good starting point for the creative that wants to start their mental health journey as they continue to create?
Yeah, so we're saying here, shift your focus inward. Instead of constantly looking at the other folks and comparing to what everyone else has got or what they're doing, concentrate on your own way and whatever you need to express for that creativity. I think another thing here could be if work is not fulfilling in the work you're doing in design, do the side hustle, do a passion project that really solves this equation. Because a lot of times, I face it, we're doing a lot of corporate stuff or whatever it might be. Here's a great way to make sure you are shifting that focus to something you want to do and something you are. But don't forget, it's not that thing. I think the Hood sisters said it the best. Don't get bitter, get better. And I always love, they said that to my students one time. And I was like, that is so me. That bitterness of you're like, why didn't I get that? Or why am I not doing a project of that size or whatever it might be? The minute I shifted it, all these good things started even getting better and better. So, man, there's such a good answer to this. That's the thing you got to do. But what's your own thing? So just like we said, what's your own signature? What's your own way of writing an R, whatever it is? That's what makes you special. That's what makes you good. What do you think?
Yeah. I think I'm still thinking about the Hoods thing.
So good.
I think that's good. Yeah. And I think that shifting your focus inward allows you to understand yourself better. And I think that it helps my mental health when I'm like, oh, it's not that things aren't going well or the projects are crazy or whatever. It's I'm trying to say something. I'm trying to communicate something. And the struggle isn't my skill. The struggle is the complexity of the thing I'm trying to communicate, or the intensity, or that it's never that I'm not capable of doing something, that I have to remind myself of my skill and my perspective and just be oh no, this is just a hard thing to do. It is not that I'm bad at it. It is just hard to do. And I think that's for a lot of artists can be a struggle, right? That you're kind of thinking, oh, this should be so easy. I should know how to, and you're no, this is hard. This is all hard. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's just colors and shapes and all that stuff, but it's hard to communicate an idea visually when you can't, talk to people. And so I think focusing inward and saying, cool, I have good perspective. I have good skills. I just need to keep going.
Yeah. And don't forget too, it's not like you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm bragging. That feels uncomfortable. No, it's just you saying, I'm confident. I did something. I set a goal and I either reached it or I achieved it, right? That's a good thing to say in yourself. You're not, some people go I have a hard time congratulating myself on something. Like you said, like maybe you wanted to learn hand lettering or something, and you actually came across, and after months and months, you have something that you really, really like. Take a second to say, like, I just did that, you know?
Yep.
Always.
Yep. And so continuing on with that, let's talk about seeking not comparison, but inspiration. This is so hard for me to get inspired and not like compare myself to other people.
Yeah, rather than viewing other work as a benchmark for your own, seek your own, and then again, like make those benchmarks. I think that's the best way to do it. And I think we again conveniently can go and look at other people and say, well, look at all of their little benchmarks and their kind of like rise to success or whatever it might be. But what in your way, if you looked at this and say, okay, Andrew, don't compare, seek inspiration, what does that mean to you? What would that mean, you trying to find new inspiration to make your own benchmarks and to set your own goals?
Usually if I'm looking at, like, if I'm trying to seek inspiration, I'm trying to understand the story that someone else is trying to tell. And then I think, how do I tell that story in my way?
There you go.
Right? Because we all are telling the same stories. All the stories have been told a million times before. Like it's just what marketing and design is. Like it's all stuff that's been done before. And so it's trying to understand, what is the story they're telling, understanding that story, and then thinking, how would I tell that story? And for me, that's inspiration, right? When I look at their work and I'm like, oh, I want to tell that story. My story, like I'm not telling that story as good as they did. Then that's when I go into comparison, right? That I'm not understanding the story. I'm just like, oh my gosh, they told that story so well. I want to tell that story. And then it's like, oh no, they're telling it better than me. And I'm like, oh no, it's not better. It's just different. And I need to understand the story and then figure out, how would I say that? How am I inspired to make it different and be confident in the difference being the magic thing?
How do you know when yours is just as inspirational?
What do you mean?
So let's say, you're looking at other people's work and wondering that, and then you said, no, I'm going to tell my own story, right? I'm going to do it my own way. How do you know you've achieved that? Like, I would have to think the best way is to look back at any time you've shared maybe like one of your passion projects somewhere, look at the response it got. Look at someone say like, whoa, Andrew, I wish I could do something in that zone. Or that's totally you. I've got to do more of that kind of stuff for myself. There's the value. There's the proof that you have just inspired someone the same way someone else inspired you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Ooh.
And how fast we might be to forget that. Like a great comment from anybody saying something. I think we don't register those positive ones the same way we do the negative ones.
Well, yeah, and I think you and I both get this at conferences when like we go up to people or people come up to us like, oh, I watch Office Hours and like I'm so inspired and I learned and like leveled up my portfolio and stuff, and like we're like we just like, I think a lot of times Nick and I are just like, I don't know, we just like talk into our cameras and who knows where it goes. And so it is cool to hit those zones of like, oh, it is inspiring to people. Like the stuff that you do can be inspiration to other people. Like anything that you do, can it be inspiring to someone else? There have been things that like I've seen people, I've done, taught creative challenges for beginner people kind of learning Illustrator, and they'll do something and I'm like, that's so wrong, but that's so cool in the way that you did it wrong. Like, how did you do that wrong? And how can I do that wrong? Because that's so cool. And I think that's the magic is like, you never know when something is going to be inspiring or when something is going to inspire someone else. And the thing for keeping your mental health in check is like, you have to put it out there, because I can't be inspired if I don't see it. If I am not experiencing it, then I can't be inspired. And so you never know. So you have to put it out there to see and let other people be inspired by the work.
Even if it's not taken well or controversial, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you got to feel comfortable with it. And I think, there was a little stir in the pot last week that we both saw that blew my mind. But like, I'm more than happy that when that happens, there's a different side of me that I never see. And it takes moments like that to kind of go, shit.
Yes, we got one. We got one on screen, on the screen. We used to have a little tally. So that we'll tally it up to, I think, 3. That is 3 during lives.
Oh, but the first one this year, I think.
That was the first one this year for sure. That was the first one in a long time. Okay, so we think, oh, darn.
Oh, darn.
Shucks.
Those moments are really good. So, yeah, I love the challenges. Let's go.
Yeah. So let's talk about practicing gratitude and mindfulness. These are really important things, and a really great plug here and transition into maybe some stuff for creatives. If you are a Creative Cloud member, we are on Adobe Live, so we have to talk about Adobe stuff. But practicing gratitude and mindfulness is really great. Nick, why do we do this?
Well, I think, again, it's like everything we talked about, to register these good moments, to make sure they're memorable and that you can think of them on the fly the next time a challenge comes your way. If you have these little gratitude moments, or these things that, you've given yourself some like pat on the back, whatever it might be, it helps you the next time something maybe not positive comes your way. So I don't know. It's like, to me, it's just one of those things to spend a little more time than you usually would on the positives, because when the negatives do come, you're going to need to reflect.
Yep.
And the faster they are, they're right in your back pocket. You agree? It's so much better.
Yep, absolutely. And if you're looking to practice mindfulness and you are a Creative Cloud member, this is the transition right here. So if you are looking to improve your mental health, if you are looking to practice your mindfulness, and you have a Creative Cloud membership, included in your membership is now a full 12 months of free Headspace. That is 1 year of Headspace. And it really is a great service to help you focus. It helps you reignite your creativity, as you can see here. There's a lot of really great stuff with Headspace. And even with that, there's a bunch of other things like Skillshare if you want to work on your skills. Zoom, these are a bunch of different perks that are just included in your Creative Cloud membership for free. But for April, we do want to, and you can do it in May too. Why not? We want to focus on the 12 months of Headspace. Get started now. Our moderator is going to drop a link over in the chat that will be over there. And all you need to do is just click on redeem offer right here, and you get 12 free months of Headspace. It's going to help you like meditate. It's going to help you be more mindful, and you'll be able to stay more creative.
Yeah. I signed up yesterday. It literally gives you a little QR code. It goes right to the app, and you will get, and for 12 months, I was
12 months, 1 year.
That's kind of crazy.
Full year.
But yeah, I think it's fantastic. There's so much specific to the creative in there as well. And there's a lot of positive. Don't just think it's going to be all these things that are like battling with this or how to get over that. There's all kinds of really even like super positive, recharging your day, getting out of a creative rut. What a perfect time and great partnership for them to do this together. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. So we have about 10-15 minutes left, but what we want to do is, Nick, I know that we talked a little bit about doing some stuff in Adobe Express, but I want to play around a little bit with Adobe Firefly real quick. I think we can have some fun here. So let's do this. Let's try to create, and we've done this at the end of a few episodes. Let's try to create maybe a visual of our mental space at the moment, right? And this is going to be good, and I think this is a good practice, and hopefully, chat, you can do this with us at home. All you need to do is go to firefly.adobe.com, and you can open up discord.gg/ACC. We want to see your mental space. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start, and I'm just going to kind of type in some visuals, and live from here right now.
Are you going to go more like words, or are you going to try to form sentences here? What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I want to create a visual that feels the way that I feel. Okay. And I think that, Nick, I think this is actually where we differ a lot, is you are much more communicative and I am much more like feeling based. And so I'm very interested. So like things have been super busy for me. I've been traveling on the road. I'm home for 4 days in April. It's insane. And so I'm going to start over on my Firefly, and we're just going to start with a base. And I'm going to do like busy.
That was the first word I had in mind.
Yeah, let's do busy and chaotic. And I'm going to do detritus, I think is the word. What's the? Yeah, let's do debris. Okay. And let's do colorful explosion in motion. And then maybe let's also have in there like confetti, because it was my birthday, and there's some happy chaos in there. It's not all like bad crazy. Confetti, and then let's also do and black slime because I'm feeling like tired and sluggish. So let's see what happens here. This is my favorite thing to do with Adobe Firefly is to play around with just like crazy stuff and try to just get visuals to like, I don't know, unpack something and see what you can create here. So I'm going to go to a widescreen 16:9 and see what we can get here. We also might use some of these for a structure reference. We might use some style references. There are a lot of different things that we can do here. Oh, okay.
Wow. I'm anxious to see what mine comes out as here too. What'd you get?
Okay,
Oh.
I think that this one is pretty
Ooh.
close to what I want. I am going to add in some things on the side. I'm going to do like 3D render, and we're going to do hyper realistic. It's a little too painterly for me right now, and so I'm going to try to see if I can get it a little bit more hyper realistic. And I love the idea of like a 3D render of this kind of zone. And Nick, what are you doing over there?
Okay, so I wrote, you really challenged me to try something a little bit out of the box. So I wrote traveling designer, anxious, juggling tons of creative shapes, connecting to new people, hitting goals, and missing opportunities.
Yes.
And I think when this first came, this image was the first one I saw. It really was similar to what my visual was hoping for. Like, this is a style I would love to be able to do. It's got a very painterly vibe to it. It feels very like still optimistic, even though there's some kind of like challenges in the things. But how, like, I'm trying to think like what can we make it? Because I like what you got with that kind of like. You didn't put person in there. You just put like feelings.
If we've ever like, this is the perfect way to describe the difference in perspectives. And I think that like, again, this is like the thing that I think is interesting between the two of us is that we have such unique different perspectives and approaches creatively. Is that like when we're talking about like how do we create an image to like represent how we feel? I'm like, here are all these like shapes and emotions and feelings, and Nick's like, here are the things that are happening. And I think for me, like it's good to see the way that someone else sees the creative process, right? And that's why watching Adobe Live can be a great reason to help your mental health because you get to see other creatives and the way that they create, and that there's no wrong way, there's just different ways. And so I think I'm going to take mine a little bit different. I'm going to go to edit, and then I'm going to do generate similar just to see if I can get something similar. And here, the things that I'm lacking visually. I think it's a little too grungy. I wanted a little bit more fun. I want it a little more centered and kind of coming to me. Oh, I like that one a little bit. Okay, I think that I like this because it's a little more like coming toward me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this as my style reference, and then I'm going to just comment and do centered in the frame. And that's going to allow me to generate something similar. It's going to use this as the style, and I can generate and kind of just keep revising this until I have something that I really like that looks good. And once I do, I'm going to save that and probably use it as a structure reference because I want to like do some weird stuff with it and see what happens. Oh yeah. Okay, it's a little out of focus, so I'm going to do sharp focus. And again, this is the best way to use Adobe Firefly is just keep generating and keep trying to add on to your generation to get something that you want. All right, Nick, you have some more stuff. What do you have?
Yeah, so I added in exploding creativity, different emotions. So it definitely got some like, I love, oh my gosh, look at that. Just the composition there. But this one is really interesting. This just went like half globe, half city. I love the paper airplanes. I love like look at these. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'm always blown away. I'm going to add this little like, this unique style reference here and try something totally different. This has got that kind of like, dare I say, Signal Noise, one of our favorite dudes.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's got his purple and pink and kind of like hyper realistic, cyber. Okay. There we go. Ooh, wait, look at these.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's really cool. I like that they're all in the positive vibe. I haven't gone too crazy into the negatives, but this is so, man, this is a really neat little exercise because I think we were talking earlier about being so glued to our work and everything. How about taking a little like Firefly break?
I just have fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Like what a great thing to do for your anxiety. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's gorgeous.
Oh, okay. So that's just without even a figure or anything like remotely creative in there. It's giving me quite a fun. Oh yeah, this is awesome.
That's cool. So I actually really like this one that I have, and I set it as a as a structure reference. And so it's going to use the structure of this, and I think the style as well. And then I just put in iridescent, glitter, shimmer, mirror, and I'm going to see what happens here.
Ooh, we're going to go. Using it as a structure reference is a way to kind of make a version of it, right? Because it's model it after that and try to take the new stuff to it. Ooh,
yeah, so it'll match all of the like 3D space and the structure of the image, but it's going to put in this new prompt, which is the iridescent glitter. Oh yeah.
Ooh, I think that third one looked pretty cool. I like that with the line break in the back, and oh my gosh,
I like this one a lot.
How would you? This is why I think this is so spectacular. It's like if that was an idea in your mind, and how long would that have taken you to create, like, from scratch?
So long.
And would you really even match what you wanted? Like, this to me is like that is a specific thing, and it looks so cool.
Yep. So I'm going to take away the art, and I'm actually going to change it to photo here. And then I'm going to generate similar, and that is going to change. So I have photo, and then it has my same prompt, and it's going to generate one similar to this, but now with a different filter. So if you ever want to, you can change your filters and then go up, and instead of hitting generate in the corner, you can go to generate similar. And now it's going to create kind of these similar images. And I do want to turn on, where is my camera angle? I want macro photography. So I'm going to do that, and then let's generate again and see what happens. Ooh, and Nick, you got some nice whipped clouds going on in there.
Look at that. Look at that. It went to the gold section of effects, but I've downloaded a few, and I'm going to give it a full on totally different try. So try not to do it. You went more like expressive with like mostly just feelings and emotions. You didn't try to like set the tone too much, right?
No. So I actually went way too far when I did macro photography. And so I'm going to do shallow depth of field and see if that helps at all. Maybe I want to show a little surface detail. Let's do surface detail and see what happens there. Because I did the... oh, did I lose my structure reference? Oh, I did. I lost my structure reference and my... Oh, no. Are they gone forever? I can go back. I can go back. All right. As I go back, Nick, what are you working on?
All right. I'm going deep. This was last Wednesday, I think it was. I was very anxious. Imposter syndrome was kicking in. I had this insane worry about time and making deadlines and being late. So I went and just put in all those things. And I think it's kind of still staying in the very positive way. I don't think it really took I think Firefly is a very positive spot to begin with. It didn't take it too negative, but I want to try to get that thing of like, like the melting clocks.
Oh yeah. So maybe do some like surrealism, melting shapes.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to try that. Melting clocks.
Ooh. And I got a lot better on mine. So I use the style reference and the structure reference. And I think that I got a lot better. And I love this kind of chipped glass look that I have right here. Ooh, okay. I like this one a lot. So I'm going to set this, and I'm going to generate similar to here, because I think that this is more what I'm looking for, is almost this like magic amazing, but it's like gritty and textured, and like kind of the contrast in that is the idea that I'm going for.
Wow.
And I love using Firefly to help understand like what is the concept that I'm going for. And this is that I want like bright, colorful, but also gritty to kind of be the zone.
Look at that fracture. It really is. It looks very real. Like that's kind of unique. I'm assuming that's really something. Wow. Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, Nick got some cool stuff going on there.
We're getting a little Wonka-ish. A little like, ooh, look at that one. Man, this is so cool. Oh, this is awesome. As a non like illustrator, I get really excited about what the stuff you can kind of create here. Because this is something I just could not do.
Yes.
No.
And I'm doing one more. So this is Nick's. Okay. And again, chat, we want to see what you create. You can drop it down in our Discord. Here's my final one. I put in here just more bright colors. And I really love how this one turned out. I actually like this one better. I think this is really, really interesting here. So we want to see what you generate. Go ahead, drop it down there. Discord.gg/ACC is the place to show it. We'll try to put ours there as well. Come hang out. And Nick, whoa, that stuff got really wild.
We went crazy, guys. I took off a few of those filters. Look at that. Oh, wow. Something else, man.
That's crazy. This reminds me of like the fractal art of like the 2000s.
Yes, there you go.
It's very late 2000s MySpace fun. So chat, go outside. Oh no, hold on, I hit the wrong button. Chat. There we go. We're back. Go outside. Care for your mental health, and we'll see you again next week on another episode of Adobe Office Hours. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody. Bye.